Fire. Every year, billions of dollars are spent paying for the destruction it leaves behind. Tragically, fire has now become the third leading cause of accidental deaths in the United States. In American workplaces alone, there are over 150 fires a day, most of them preventable. For every job site where torch work is needed, Roto-Rooter professionals must know what it takes to perform their job effectively with little or no risk to customers, property, and themselves. Torch safety begins when you load your truck. When traveling to and from job sites, fuel tanks should be stored and transported in an upright position and secured to prevent them from rolling around, presenting a danger. Tanks should never be used or stored sideways or upside down. When you arrive on a job site, assess the work area. The time it takes to assess the work area and determine its potential for fire hazard is time well spent. Look for flammable materials in and around the work area. Some hazards are automatic red lights. For instance, plastic primers and solvent cements present an extreme danger, and flame should never be used near them. Also, flame should never be applied in areas like hospital rooms where oxygen is in use. Flammable material, gases, and liquids found in any cabinet where you plan to work should be removed. Dryer lint, old paper-covered insulation, newspapers, loose wood, trash, and wallpaper should also be removed to lessen the risk of fire. At this point, it is vital and critical to look around the work area for updrafts in walls and around the pipe. Hollow walls and balloon construction can be especially dangerous. Remove all loose flammable materials that might mask an updraft. You can check for drafts with the smoke from a blown-out match or a small smoldering piece of paper. If you do find an updraft, block it off with fireproof materials such as fiberglass insulation with the paper backing removed, metal or wood fire stops, or other acceptable fireproof fire stops. Think safe and be safe by making your work site as fireproof as possible before you begin your job. Torch safety means preparing yourself as well as the work area. Professionals don't take shortcuts in safety. Realize that accidents can be the result of unsafe acts on your part. Make sure you're rested, alert, and focused. Maintain proper safety attitudes and habits. Be defensive. Think ahead and plan ahead for the worst-case scenario. Remember, fires can happen to you. Always wear industry-tested and approved safety glasses or other suitable eye protection. Always wear appropriate fire-resistant clothing. Grease and oil smears are an open invitation to accidents. If you're wearing clothes soiled by any of these materials, don't use a torch. Know the three basic elements that cause fire. These elements are fuel, heat, and oxygen, and make up the fire triangle. Keeping that triangle from forming is key to understanding how to prevent and how to extinguish fire. There are three major classes of fire that you need to know about. These are classified as A, B, and C. Class A fires are fires with ordinary combustible materials such as wood, paper, and textiles. Class B fires are fires involving flammable liquids such as gasoline, oil, and paints. Class C fires are fires in electrical equipment, which is on and conducting electricity. You must use the proper fire extinguisher on each type of fire. Your extinguisher should be rated A, B, C, which means that it can be used safely to extinguish all three classes of fire. Know how to use your extinguisher properly. The following demonstration, known as PASS, will help. First, pull the safety pin. Aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle and sweep the fire with the nozzle engaged. On every job site, locate all fire extinguishers available in case you need them. Make sure all fire extinguishers, including your own, are fully charged and ready to use, and be sure to read and understand the directions on their proper use before they might be needed. Understanding the nature of the gases that fuel a work torch and the safe handling procedures necessary while using that torch is very important. First, the fuel gases used are usually acetylene or propane. Both are heavier than air. This means that if these fuel gases escape into the environment, they will sink and can collect, producing an explosive condition. Your gas tank should be turned on 1/4 turn only because in an emergency, a 1/4 turn can shut it off immediately. If gas is leaking from your torch, shut off the tank. Then take the tank, regulator, hose, and tip into a well-ventilated area. Using soap and water or a leak detector, find the source of the leak. Never use flame to find a gas leak. If your torch uses a separate handle or lever to turn it on, the handle or lever should be left on the tank while your torch is in use. Hoses should be protected from heat damage, from physical contact with tools, from being stepped on, and from anything else that might crimp or damage them. On your job site, place the tank as far away from the area in which you're using the torch flame. If the tank should leak gas, the risks of igniting the leaking gases with the torch are minimized by having the fuel tank as far away from the source of flame as possible. Do not place the tank in any walkway or other location where it could be tripped over. If working on a step ladder, place your tank under the ladder so it can't be knocked over when you climb down. Once you've turned on the torch, adjust the flame with the pressure regulator adjustment knob. Too much pressure can blow out the flame. Too little can cause improper combustion, and in some cases can cause the torch tip to heat up excessively. If this happens, it can present a potential danger to any combustible or meltable substance that it contacts. Many vinyl floors have been ruined this way. Now that you've prepared yourself and your job site, let's take a closer look at the gas-fired torch itself. Professionals use professional tools and equipment. The investment a Roto-Rooter technician makes in a top-of-the-line professional-grade torch will pay dividends in ease of use, quality of work, and most of all, safety. Never use a homeowner's torch. The small handheld tanks are awkward to handle and sometimes must be used upside down. They generally don't have the capability of changing tip sizes to accommodate the heat required to do various jobs in a safe manner. Before you light the torch, turn it away from combustible material, yourself, and other people on the job site. When you're ready to begin, light the torch quickly so raw gases don't fill your work area. Use a flint striker or sparker. Never use butane or plastic gas-filled cigarette lighters. Torches are most often used to solder or unsolder copper tubing and fittings, provide heat to loosen threaded connections, melt out lead joints, and melt the lead for a lead pour joint. A torch should never be used to thaw out frozen pipes. Not only does the flame create a hazard, the heating of the ice-filled pipe can create an explosion that could injure you. Remember, when used correctly and professionally, that torch in your hand can be a valuable tool. When used carelessly, it can do serious damage to property and to people. Again, stay focused, stay alert, and think ahead. Keep in mind that your torch produces heat, dangerous gases, and smoke from burning or heated flux. Be careful using soldering flux. Many fluxes are acidic and can severely burn eyes and expose skin. Flux on open cuts can be very painful as well as dangerous. By using as much ventilation in the work area as possible, you can prevent smoke alarms or heat detectors from going off. Sometimes, no matter what you do to reduce the heat or smoke, the fire detectors may still go off. This can be annoying as well as costly to the customer. When an alarm goes off, the fire department or fire alarm monitoring company are usually automatically notified. That's why it's important for you to tell the customer, and in many cases the building manager, before starting a job that you will be using a torch at that location. Ask the building manager to contact the fire department and monitoring companies to inform them of your planned torch use. Under no circumstances should you disconnect or disable any fire or smoke detector, and you must never instruct the customer to disable any fire or smoke detector either. Develop a soldering safety kit and carry it onto the job site with you. This kit, along with your personal protective equipment, should be taken with you and used on every job involving the use of a torch. The kit should contain a minimum of the following items: 2 rags, 1 wet and 1 dry, a spray bottle filled with water, an ABC-rated fire extinguisher, 1 or more fire shields, fire barrier equipment for blocking off dangerous drafts, new fiberglass insulation without paper on it, wood, sheet metal, fire stop putty, or other fireproof materials may be used. Your kit should also contain leather gloves, a basin for water or a metallic cake pan to catch the hot solder drips or to place hot fittings in, a tarp for floor protection, and small pieces of plywood for placing under the tarp to keep hot fittings or solder from damaging the floors under the tarp. Never direct flame at any flammable material. It is absolutely vital that any and all materials that can be scorched, charred, melted, or burned be protected from the heat of the torch that you're using. Use the appropriate size torch tip required for the job. Use the smallest tip that you can use to do the job. The larger size tip produces excessive heat, which in most cases produces a dangerous result. The higher the number on the torch tip, the greater the amount of heat the tip produces. Remember not to use a torch tip numbered higher than what's needed to do the job safely. If you are soldering or using your torch in tight quarters or in any flammable area, wet the combustible materials in the area with water from your spray bottle before using the torch. Again, check for drafts in the wall and around the pipes in which you will be working. Drafts can carry heat and flame from your torch up an open pipe and up a hollow wall, causing fire to break out in the walls and the floors above where you're working. Prevention is the key. Don't let a draft spread fire. Stop the draft, stop the spread of fire. Spread drop cloths and other appropriate protection needed to prevent any hot solder drops, hot fittings, or any other resultant hot objects from damaging floors, floor coverings, or rugs. If additional protection is needed, use appropriate materials. Furniture or any other personal property of the customers must be covered or removed from the work area. Be sure to keep children, pets, and onlookers away from the area where your torch is in use. When you're through using the torch, shut it off completely and place it on the tank top or on top of any suitable nearby object. Do not place the torch on the floor or cabinet base where you or someone else might step on it. Before leaving the job site, inspect the area above and below the work area for any hot or smoldering wood, glowing embers, or any sign of fire-producing materials. Wet and cool the area several times if necessary. Scrape away all charred wood that you might have produced and soak the area with water. It is extremely important that all materials surrounding the work area be cool and left in a safe condition. Never leave the job site until the area has been cooled for several minutes and shows no sign of heat. Remember, fires can be very costly for Roto-Rooter. The financial costs of fire are very high, and the emotional impact on our customers can be severe. Any way you look at it, fire can be devastating. If you follow the procedures we've outlined for you regarding fire prevention and safe torch procedures, the risk of fire will be minimized or eliminated. Let's review the basic steps for safe torch usage once more. Wear proper eye protection and work clothes free from heavy grease and oil stains. Assess the work site to determine any potential fire hazards. Remove all flammable materials within the work area. Check for the presence of drafts. If drafts are detected in the work area, block them with non-flammable material from your safe soldering kit. Maintain proper safety attitudes. Take the steps necessary to prevent fire from starting in the work area by using fire shields, wetting the area with water, using the proper size torch tip, never directing the flame on any material that can burn, planning ahead to prevent fires, and reviewing torch handling safety procedures before starting work. Focus on the flame. Don't be distracted. Remember, the torch in your hand is extremely dangerous. Always have your soldering safety kit with you every time you use your torch. Watch out for dripping solder and hot fittings. Make the effort to protect floors and exposed property. Inspect the work area after you've finished using your torch for any evidence of fire-producing materials. The livelihood, as well as the reputation of every Roto-Rooter technician, is based on the proper use of tools and work procedures. So remember, when using a torch on any job, plan ahead, be careful, stay alert, think safe, and be safe.